I've done tons of videos lately on how to customize Windows. And if you've been following the series, then you already knew that. But in every one of those videos, I've lost track of how many people have told me that I need to try Winaero Tweaker. So, that's what we're doing today. Stay tuned. So like I said in the intro, we've been doing a lot of videos lately on customizing Windows. We've went over programs that'll do the customization for you, and I've even showed you how to manually set a lot of these settings in the registry itself. But you know what? In several of those videos, countless people have recommended Winaero Tweaker. And you know, to be honest with you, I've never even tried it before. In fact, I didn't even know it existed until you guys recommended it. So if you know of any programs that I haven't covered, don't hesitate to mention them in the comments below. I do read the comments, and I get a lot of the ideas for upcoming videos from you guys. My intentions were to do a pretty full review of Winaero Tweaker, but unfortunately, after playing around with it, this video would be a couple hours long if I actually covered the program in full. There's a massive amount of settings that you can change in this program. So I'm just going to be giving you a brief overview of some of the settings that jumped out to me to be noteworthy. So in order to cover as much of this as I can, let's get to it. Okay, so this video is going to be in Windows 10 because, to be honest with you, I noticed that in this program there's a lot of appearance tweaks and they really don't work that great in Windows 11. There is a Windows 11 section, and maybe I'll cover that in a different video. But for this video, we're just going to be looking at Winaero Tweaker from within Windows 10, just to get a better understanding of the massive amount of tweaks that this thing has available to you. So the first thing that we need to do is download it. So I got the website open right here, and I'll go ahead and link this in the description below. But if you search Google for Winaero Tweaker, you should be able to find it. So just scroll down, click on Get Winaero Tweaker, and then click again at Download right here, and it'll download the program. And then from there, we can go ahead and show it in a folder. I'm gonna go ahead and close Chrome now, and we're gonna extract this right here. So we're gonna hit Extract All, push Extract, and there we go. So to set this up, all we gotta do is double click on this application right here. Go ahead and click More Info and Run Anyway. Hit yes to the user account control. And at this point, we just go through the setup like normal. Now, you can either choose to install this as a normal program, or you can set this up as a portable program. And me personally, if I have the opportunity to set something up as portable, that's typically the way I go. So that's the way I'm gonna go in this one. So we're gonna go ahead and hit Next, hit Accept, hit Next again. And then this asks you where you want the portable program to actually be stored. Well, I don't want it on the C drive, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit Browse here. We're gonna click here, go into Users, go under My Name, and click on Desktop, hit OK, and then hit Extract Files. And that's all there is to it. We're gonna go ahead and hit Finish, and we can close the rest of these windows. And here's the program right here. So to run it, all we do is open up the folder and click on the executable within the folder. Go ahead and agree to the license agreement. Hit yes to the user account control. And there we go, we're inside the program. So I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this in the background, and then we can kind of go through all the different categories in this program. So the first one here is just information. It gives you basic system information. It tells you what kind of system you're currently using, the processor, memory, your display resolution, things of that nature. So from there, we go into recent changes, and then this will actually show you different changes that you've made. So if you've used this program, but you can't remember which settings you changed, this will show you right here. So this is actually kind of neat to have this around. And then going down the list, we have managing bookmarks. So in bookmarks, if you have a tweak or something that you really like to use in here, you can go ahead and set a bookmark on it just by clicking on this little star right here. Unfortunately, I guess you can't bookmark the bookmark page, but if we go down to this one right here and we click on this star, it'll create a bookmark. And now when we go into managing bookmarks, it'll show them there, and it'll show the bookmark from within the list of bookmarks itself. So it is kind of a neat feature. So then going down the list, this is where we're gonna kind of speed through this a little bit more, just to kind of make this video not as long as it could be. So obviously the first one I want to take a look at is Arrow Light. And what this one right here does is it actually enables a version of the Arrow theme that you would have seen in earlier copies of Windows. And this is one of the reasons I chose Windows 10, because this actually doesn't work in Windows 11 when I tried it. But to enable it, all you got to do is click on Enable right here, and it'll go ahead and take a little bit, and then once it fires up, then you have kind of like a Windows 7 look going on here, which I don't know, it looks kind of cool. And it also gives you there's some other appearance options right here that are also really useful. Like if we go to the Alt tab, you can change how the Alt tab looks. So if I go Alt tab right here, you can see an Alt tab menu that shows different applications that I currently have open. And you can see the background right here. See the darker background that we have? Well, what we can do is we can actually adjust the transparency in here. So if we want more transparency, or if we wanted to dim the background more, we can do that. And you can see it kind of changes the way that the Alt Tab menu looks from within Windows. And then if we go down, we can go colored tile bars too. And if we enable colored tile bars, it kind of cleans up the arrow light that we actually set up before. It changes the colors for different title bars for different programs that you have open. And as you can see, the title bars look a little bit better in my opinion. So you can kind of go through the other appearance settings on your own leisure. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there is a lot of really cool stuff that you can do inside of here. So if we go down to our advanced appearance settings, you can change anything from the different horizontal and vertical spacing and icons to the way that the menu heights, the height that's used within menus right here is. You can change the scroll bars themselves. You can even reset all the advanced appearance settings if you mess something up. And another neat one that I liked right here is if you go down to Windows borders, you can change the width and padding itself for the borders themselves. So if we go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and change my border to, let's say 5, and then we'll change the padding to, let's say 10. Now, to be able to change these Windows borders right here, one of the things that you have to do is you have to make sure that you're using the arrow light theme, because I got the colored title bars on, which is more like a Windows 8.1 style theme instead of the Windows 10 one. You have to turn arrow light on in order for them to enable. So once we click that on, you'll see that our borders and paddings definitely changed around the application itself. All right, from here, we're going to scroll down to the behavior settings right here. And I've got quite a few settings in here that I really wanted to point out. Like for instance, we've got ads and unwanted apps. We can enable or disable different ad functions within Windows. Like one of the ones that I really like is this welcome experience right here. And you know what? Let me explain to you why. Here's the thing with the welcome experience in Windows. Have you ever had one of those situations where you set Windows up without a Microsoft account, but every couple of days it's bugging you that you need to finish setting up your computer by creating a Microsoft account? Well, that's how you stop it. That setting right there is probably worth the entire program, but either way, that's one definitely I would change. But let's go ahead and look at some of the other ones they offer. Okay, some of the other options you have in here is like ads in File Explorer, which honestly, that isn't even a thing, but it could be a thing at some point. So if it does become a thing, this is how you would disable it. Also, your start menu suggestions and even your unwanted apps being installed automatically. And as you can see, once I check this, it asks me if I wanted to reboot. Some of these settings are going to require you to reboot your system and some of them aren't. So keep that in mind too. But if you go down here, there's a lot of different things that you can change within this section right here. So I'm not going to reboot now, so I'm going to go ahead and click I'll do this later. And then another thing that I highly recommend changing in this thing is the automatic registry backup. Now, if you didn't know, since Windows 10 1803, as it says right here, Microsoft has turned off the automatic registry backup feature. And you know, this is a very useful feature and it doesn't really take up much resources to have it do this on a regular basis. So I don't know why they disabled it, but I highly recommend turning it back on. And this is a really easy way to do it. Another setting inside of behavior right here that really intrigued me, but I have to warn you about, is this one right here, enable crash on control scroll lock. So I just have to warn you real quick on that setting right there, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's neat. I can call up a blue screen whenever I want. So the first time I did, I bricked the system. And you know what? There was no way I could get out of it. I couldn't even use a system restore point to get out of it. I ended up having to restore the system from a backup copy that I had on another hard drive from an issue that I had a few weeks ago. So unfortunately, that right there caused me a ton of problems. However, once I set the system back up and I tried it again, I was unable to replicate the problem that caused the system to brick in the first place. So I don't know what caused it, but if you don't want a blue screen ruining your computer, maybe just don't play with that setting right there. I don't know. That's what I would recommend. Okay, we scroll down some of these other ones. We've got some other things here that are actually really neat too. Like for instance, this show BSOD and disable smiley. I don't remember when Microsoft actually changed the BSOD screen, but the old one from the Windows 7 era really showed a lot of information. So if you'd like to get that one back, it's easy to do. You just check this right here and you can get that one back. But either way, I've kind of gotten used to troubleshooting a computer with the new BSOD, but it still might be nice to bring the old one back if you want to. But you know what? Another really cool setting in here is this one right here, where it says Windows Installer in safe mode. If you've ever tried to install or uninstall a program, usually this is in troubleshooting cases. You try to do it from within safe mode in order to have the computer in more of a clean boot setting. And unfortunately, the Windows Installer doesn't work. But here's how you can get it to work. So I would highly recommend enabling this. I don't think there's any downside to it, but who knows, maybe there is. And you know what? There's lots of other things that you can do inside of this behavior section right here. But some of them I highly recommend against. Like for instance, don't disable Windows Update. I know a lot of people like to do that, but it's just not worth it. You need to get the latest updates for Windows. They have security updates that are really important to your system. So please, don't disable Windows Update. But some of these other ones actually could come in really handy. But once you get a chance to install the program, go ahead and scroll through them and mention in the comments below what's your favorite settings. But I'm going to scroll down to the next section, which is boot and login. And honestly, there was really only one setting right here that I really looked at that I liked, and that was the boot option setting right here. Because ever since Windows 8, they've taken away your ability to select safe mode and essentially your F8 boot menu that we've had for years now. This is how you can get it back right here. So you can turn on the Windows 7-like boot menu, or you can even always show the boot menu if you want to. And I thought that was a super helpful setting right here. So it's definitely one I would look at. You can also kind of go through here and you can change a ton of different settings. Some of these settings I've shown you how to set manually before, like the disable lock screen setting right here. This is one that I've shown you how to do in the registry before. But if you kind of go through here, there's tons of different settings within the boot login. You can even enable Control-Alt-Delete to log in for whatever reason you might want to. But this is definitely something that's going to take some time to dig into. So we're going to skip the boot login and we're going to go down to desktop and taskbar, which is the next section right here. Now, one of the settings in here that I thought was really neat was this one right here where it says Action Center always open. This may actually be kind of an annoyance to you at some cases. So if I click on the action menu here, you can see the action menu opens up. But if I click out, it goes ahead and closes again. Well, I might want to leave that open for some reason. Maybe I'm trying to copy something off, or maybe I'm trying to type something that it says into another program. So to make it stay open, go ahead and check right here. And then when you click on the Action Center and click out onto something else, it stays open for you. So I thought that was kind of neat. It might be a completely stupid setting that you guys don't like, but I thought it was pretty cool. And then the next one here is if you scroll down, if you look at right here, the Cortana change search bar text. This one right here is neat. And in order to see this, you actually have to have a search bar, which I typically turn off. So I'm going to turn my search bar back on real quick. And as you can see from the search box, it has a default text inside of there. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to put show the following text, and I'm going to type right here, this is a search box. Stupid. And then hit Restart Explorer, and this is going to go ahead and restart your Explorer, and there you go. You changed the text from within your search box. Now, this one right here, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I still think it's a kind of a neat trick, but ultimately, I typically hide my search box anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And in fact, speaking of the search box text, if you go down to disable web search, which this actually disables searching the internet from within Cortana. So if we check that, it makes you sign out in order to enable it. But once you enable that, it messes up your custom text within the Cortana search box. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here a little bit more. And then right here, this is another one I liked here. It was old volume control. And if you look at your volume control in Windows 10 or Windows 11, you have this little slider bar right here that we've gotten fairly used to. But do you remember what the old volume control looked like? Because I'm going to go ahead and check that one real quick. And then click on volume again. And there we go. There's the Windows 7 style volume control. So if you'd like to get that one back, there's a setting for it. And then this, I didn't even know was a thing, but if we scroll down here and we look at wallpaper quality, apparently Windows lowers the quality of your wallpaper from within Windows to 85%. Well, if you like your wallpaper to look nice and crisp, then you can drag this thing all the way up to 100 and have your wallpaper set to a more high quality wallpaper. So like I said, I didn't even know this was a thing. I never realized that Microsoft automatically lowered the quality of your wallpaper. And you know, the reason I didn't know about it is because once you change the setting to 100%, doesn't really make a difference. In fact, it looks exactly the same to me. So who knows? Maybe you have better eyes than me and you can see the difference, but 85% is pretty good. So let's get back to it. Okay, so the next section we're gonna go into is context menu. And this one, I gotta say, this one's gonna take a second to get through because there is so much cool stuff inside of here that it's going to take some time, unfortunately. But essentially in the context menu, that's this menu right here. And this is the Windows 10 version. If you're in Windows 11, you have that stupid new context menu, but it's fairly easy to change back to this one. But what you can do here is you can go through and there's tons of different programs and different tweaks that you can make to the context menu. Let me show you a couple. Like for instance, let's go down to command prompt right here. From the command prompt, if we click add command prompt to the context menu, then we're going to go ahead and right click and you can see open command window here. But you know what? It's even better than that. Let me show you here. So if we open up a file explorer, go into C, go into Windows, go into users, and let's say I want to open one here. I can right click, hit open command window here, and there we go from C users. I think this is really useful right here, but it doesn't just stop there. If you scroll down, you can actually open command prompt as administrator too. So the same thing as before. If we right click here, you can see command prompt administrator. And then what it does is it actually opens one with administrator rights in the folder that you just were in. So that is hugely helpful. And as you can see, as we scroll through here, essentially all we're doing is just adding more and more stuff to the context menu. Like if we want control panel, let's add control panel. And there you go. There's control panel. It even allows you to list it in categories, large icons, or all tasks. So it gives you all kinds of different ways to access the control panel. And from in Windows 10, that's pretty handy since Microsoft's trying to hide it. And then even better, we got create a system restore point. So if we add that, then when we right click on the context menu, we can create a restore point. This would come in handy if you're doing lots of modifications like we've been doing lately. But if we keep going through here, we can do default apps, we can add encryption, and then continuing to go through here, we can kill non-responsive tasks. If we add that one there and then we right click, there you go, kill not responding tasks. Unfortunately, they're all responding at the moment, but that could come in handy in some cases. But we can go to group policy editor, we can open with for a batch file, we can add personalization, we can even say PowerShell as administrator. So if we were to check that, not only would we have our command prompt, but we'd also have PowerShell as well. But as you scroll through here, you can see that there are tons and tons of different settings. We've got reset permissions right here. Adding a reset permissions to the context menu could be huge because then if you're in a folder somewhere, like let's go back into their C drive, right click on users, we can go over to here and click on reset permissions and we can reset permissions for the folder only or the folder and subfolders. So this is a hugely helpful setting in here. And the more you go through here, we can even restart Explorer. So if we check that one and we right click and we click on Restart Explorer, then there you go, we can restart Explorer. That's another helpful one, so you don't have to open your task manager every time you want to restart it. But there is so much stuff in here that you're just going to have to go through it. We can even have the shutdown menu from within the context menu. We can even do it shut down instantly without a warning, but we're not going to do that now, otherwise it's going to mess up my screen recording. But you know what? This one here is best just to go through because as you can see, there are tons and tons of different things that you can add from within the context menu. And everybody's preferences on this topic are going to be completely different. So the next one we're going to go into is settings and control panel. And this one here has a couple of really cool settings. Like for instance, we can add personalization. We can add the classic personalization settings from previous versions of Windows. And also, This is one that was a really hard habit for me to break for a long time, but right here is Windows Update. And if you come into Control Panel, which I'm gonna right click here and go to our Control Panel link that we just did, go into Categories, you used to be able to go into Systems and Security, and there used to be a Windows Update setting in here. Unfortunately, it took me a while to break that habit of wanting to go to Windows Update through the Control Panel. But now you can go here, you can click here, and now when we go back into Control Panel, go back into Categories, go into Systems and Security, and there's Windows Update. Now, of course, it jumps into the Windows setting version of Windows Update, but that's okay. At least it's an easy way to get to it. So the next one I'm going to go into is File Explorer. And this is another one that has tons of different settings. And I'm not going to be able to look at them all, but we're going to look at a couple of them real quick. For instance, if you go down here, you can see Customize Quick Access Items. And this one right here is definitely just something for looks. But if you come down here and open up File Explorer, you can see your quick access right here with the little star. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to change this. We're going to say stuff I like, and then we're going to browse for a new icon. And you know what? Let's use the RAM chip, and we'll hit OK. Go ahead and hit Apply Changes, and it's going to want to restart Explorer. And then once Explorer is restarted, we can go ahead and open our File Explorer again. And as you can see, now it says stuff I like with a little RAM chip on it. So yes, this is a stupid and useless setting, but I think it comes in kind of handy. And even better is if we come in here, we can customize this PC folders too. And we can customize not only the location, but also the different settings from within our different folders for customizing the This PC section. That's essentially all of these right here. Because if you click on this PC, these are all your pictures, your music, your downloads, your documents, things of that nature. And then another one that I thought was really neat is right here, this default drag and drop option. Typically there is a system default. For instance, if you are moving a file or if you're dragging a file, and essentially all that is if you had a file in one folder and you grab it and drag it over to another folder, it typically will move the item if it's on the same hard drive. But if it's on a different hard drive, then it will copy it. But here, you can change that to you want it to move all the time, or you want it just to copy all the time, or you can even have it set to just create the shortcut to the original file. Now, the create shortcut one would drive me insane, but at least it's an option. And then another thing is we can come down here and we can go to a File Explorer starting folder. Now, typically it opens to home or quick access. So if you open File Explorer, it opens up to the home page like this. It's called Stuff I Like now because we changed it. But if we change that, we can actually go to this PC if we want. And now if we open up File Explorer, it goes to this PC instead. But even better, and this is a setting that I didn't realize was possible, but you can also have it just go straight to downloads. So then if you open this, it goes right to your downloads folder. So that's definitely a useful setting. I typically keep mine on this PC, but this is one that you can also change from within File Explorer. The only problem is you only have the choice of this PC or home. You don't have the choice to downloads. So if you want to use downloads, you have to do it through this program or through the registry directly. And then another thing is hide hard drives. Do you ever have a hard drive that you just don't want people to have access to? Well, you can hide it if you want. So we're going to go ahead and click on C right here, hit Restart Explorer. And now when we open up our File Explorer, go into this PC, we have no hard drive. You know, this might come in really handy if you have a computer that you really don't want people messing around with the hard drives. Just hide the drive. But for us, we're going to definitely get our C drive back. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so as we scroll down here, let's go into the networking section. And from networking, there's tons of different networking things that you can do from within here. You can change the way the administrative shares function. You can change the way the computer's firewall works, or you can do stuff like change the RDP port, which might be a good idea if you're using a remote desktop. And you know, another really cool setting here, and it's a setting that I've had to do manually in the past, so it's really nice to know that there's a way to do this without doing it manually, is right here. It's network drives over UAC. And you may not realize how important this is, but there are certain circumstances where you really want elevated accounts to be able to access your map network drives. So the next category is different user account controls. So one thing is like, for instance, the built-in administrator. If you want, you can enable the administrator account from here. You can even disable UAC, which probably isn't a great idea, but I do lower the UAC settings on my test systems here just to make it better, because if you open up the UAC settings, typically this is the default. I drop it down 1 so it doesn't black the screen when I have to hit yes to a user account control prompt. And the reason I do that is because if I don't, then my screen capture only captures a black screen. You can't actually see the pop-up. So that's the reason why I do it. But if you'd like to disable it, you can do that right here. Or if you want, you can even enable UAC for the built-in administrator account, which, to be honest with you, to me is kind of a contradiction, because if you're already the administrator, why would you need administrator permission? I don't know. Okay, so in the next section, we've got Windows Defender. And honestly, some of these settings I don't recommend changing. Like for instance, I don't recommend disabling Windows Defender. But if you'd really like to, you can do it from within here. You can even disable the Windows security tray icon if you want to. But remember, you really need to have an antivirus. So if you're not using Windows Defender, then go ahead and disable it if you want. But Windows does automatically disable Windows Defender when you install another antivirus. So these ones right here, honestly, there's not a whole lot of changes I would do in this section. Now the next one is right here where it says Windows Apps. And there's a lot of different things in here that would come in really handy. Like for instance, the auto update store apps. This right here disallows Windows from automatically updating apps that were downloaded from the App Store. And you know, I don't install any apps from the App Store, so this is definitely one I'd like to disable. And also, you can even disable Cortana from within here, as well as many other different settings, like disabling Windows Ink. You can even change the Edge download folder from within here, or you can stop Edge from pre-launching Windows. And you know, if you don't use Edge, this one right here actually would be a really, really good one to set, because who wants Edge running in the background if you don't use Edge as a browser, right? But from there, we're gonna go ahead and move on down here to privacy. And in privacy, you got a couple of settings here, like disable password reveal button. You can also disable telemetry, which honestly, I don't really know exactly what this setting does. I'm assuming this just disables the telemetry service, but I might be wrong on that one. So if you wanna play around with it, go ahead and play around with it and then let me know in the comments. And then moving on, if we go down to shortcuts, this is a really cool section. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite sections, but this allows you to create shortcuts for a numerous amount of different things. Like for instance, if we want a classic shutdown shortcut, we can go ahead and set it here, click create shortcut, and there we go. It creates a shortcut on your desktop for your shutdown. Or you can even come down here, and if you'd like, you can disable the text that says dash shortcut, or you can even disable the arrows that are on shortcuts. You can either go to the classic arrow or no arrow. So as you can see right here, we have the little arrow right here for our shutdown. If we click Restart Explorer, there we go. There's no more arrow. And you know what? It's not just shutdown either, because there's lots of different things you can do here. If you go into this shutdown right here, you can even have restart. So if we create a shortcut, there's a shortcut for restart. So there's lots of different things you can do in here. You can even have a shortcut just for safe mode specifically. So right there, I'm gonna go ahead and start a safe mode shortcut. We can have safe mode or normal mode. And now moving on here, if we go down into tools, there's a couple of really cool things you can do in here too. Like for instance, you can change your OEM information if you want. If you have a Dell or an HP or something like that, it's gonna be all Dell's or HP's information in here. You can either reset it or you can change it to whatever you want. But other than that, there's tons of different tools in here that you can go through and play with. Anything down from System Restore to Local Group Policy Editor. And then from there, we're gonna scroll down to the next section, which is getting classic apps. And this gives you several really cool options. Like for instance, activating Windows Photo Viewer. This is the old style Windows Photo Viewer. Or you can even come down and you can get the classic games for Windows 7. So if you like the old Solitaire better than the new one, this is the way to do it right here. You can get sticky notes. You can even get desktop gadgets if you want to from the Windows Vista days. So, as you can see, this program is absolutely huge in regards to the amount of things you can change at least. There are several things, like I mentioned before, that I highly recommend against changing. Namely, some of them are the security features and absolutely Windows Update. Don't disable Windows Update. it's not worth it. Just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should. But you know what? Make sure you mention in the comments below what settings are your favorite from this program. Personally, my favorite is the ability to add utilities to the Windows context menu. And you know, with that said, I think one of the coolest features of this program is the ability to research how each setting can be changed manually. I really like the amount of time that they have taken into writing articles showing exactly what each setting does. This truly is going up and above what you see on most customization programs like this one. In fact, I can't recall a single time I've ever seen this done before. But you know, one of the downsides to this program is that unlike other programs I've covered recently, this one is not open source. Now, you know what? Even though it is freeware, it would be nice to be able to dig through the code and see how it works. But with all that said, if you like customizing Windows, then don't forget to check out this playlist here, where I have all the videos from this series and a few videos that I've done in the past on this subject. You guys have a great day.